time for a press preview. Let's take a look at this day, our sister publication this morning, and its leading headline. In last address to UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly, Buhari recommits to credible 2023 polls. That's a photo of President Buhari there as he was addressing the UN. Federal government asks ASUU to obey court order and resume work. That's on page 41. One more headline on the front of this day this morning. PDP crisis deepens as Wike loyalists pull out of Atiku's campaign.
Well, in the Punch newspaper, it's leading with the PDP crisis. ASUU must go. PDP calls emergency meeting over governors and others' gang up.
For the nation, PDP quakes as Wike's group opt out of Atiku's campaign. All right, so we're bringing Dr. Sam Amadi. Dr. Sam Amadi, good morning to you. Glad to have you join us.
Good morning.
Fine. Let's start with our sister publication this day. It says, in last address to UNGA, Buhari recommits to credible 2023 polls, and of course, PDP crisis deepens as Wike and his loyalists pull out of the campaign of Atiku Abubakar.
Well, I think the president gave a very good speech in terms of the language, the issues he covered at the United Nations. It's clear that the scriptwriters understood the social issues. On the election issue, I think he made it clear now, no more debate, that he's going to leave office, and that's his last speech. He underlined free and fair election. But the question is, beyond the UN rhetoric, the UNGA is a platform, more like a soapbox, where presidents can grandstand freely. The devil is in the details. But again, back to Nigeria, we have a new electoral act, so the president can have a bragging right that he has achieved that. So far, elections electoral process are going well. But the only caveat is, why should he appoint partisan persons into the electoral management body? So if I was a foreign diplomat listening to his speech, I would be cross-checking some of the checklist of credible election, and I would pick on the quality of his recent appointments into that body. So on the whole, it's clear that he is going, but it's also not too clear how free and fair the election will be. And beyond UN rhetoric, it falls back to Nigerian vigilance, the civil society, everybody to make it work. Then on the issue of Wike and Atiku, it's now we've crossed the Rubicon, like they say. It's clear now that the Wike particularly, and a few of his people will not be part of this campaign in a robust sense. And it's also clear that ASUU is not going, and maybe for the right reason. This is the dangerous time to ask a presidential aspirant, a candidate, to force off a chairman of the party and cause major disaffection in the system. I think it's clear, if I was Atiku's advisor, that the Wike camp do not want to support this ticket. And therefore, it's better for everybody, for Atiku, to revise his strategy and move on. And hopefully, some of those people in that meeting, they will crawl their way back to the camp. But again, not a good time for PDP in terms of getting ready for the campaign. But one can say that, in a real sense, the Wike option may not cost much. Already, the Southeast is slipping out of the hand of the PDP. River State, Wike probably would do not much to stop that tide. But again, it's about strategy. But clearly, there's no need crying over spilled milk. Wike doesn't want to sign up fully to this campaign for some strategic reasons. Again, the argument around South and North doesn't convince me a lot. You can always wait until after election to, resize and rebalance the party for equity and justice. So this is a fight that is now conclusive. They're going to fight, yeah.
Dr. Sam, on the ASUU saga, that lingering 7-month strike, the National Industrial Court has now said ASUU should suspend that strike. ASUU kicking back, saying they're going to appeal. As a lawyer, what's some of the rationale behind that court order?
Well, first, the Judicial Court is actually the court that's fit for this conflict. First is two categories of considerations. One is what we call essential services. Oftentimes, the Industrial Court, the Trade Union Act talks about essential services that ought not to. go on strike. And again, the formation of disputes. How has this dispute crystallized? Is there a failure of consideration on both parties? Are there possibilities that the strike was, if you like, preemptive and came too early? Has all options been exhausted? And in this case, the industrial court takes a view that this court is now should go back to classroom for 3 reasons. 1, the nature of their services. 2, the fact that the federal government have shown good consideration, good faith negotiation, and is involved good faith negotiation, even though you've not agreed on some of the terms of that agreement, the terms of the deal. If there's sufficient good faith negotiation and parties are committed to sorting out the problem, then I would argue that it's not a basis for prolonged strike. So, but the bottom line is what ASUU does. One option, appeal, go to Court of Appeal, which makes sense, is their constitutional right and probably proper. The other option is to comply with the order and maybe give a couple of months to see if the good faith translates to real deal. And then if not, then you explore the option. But it must be said, on a bigger political economy point of view, that these strikes are no longer necessary. They are too prolonged. They are damaging. At the end of the day, when ASUU gets what it wants, it's actually the system has lost what it cannot gain back. Students have no learning, and by the time they go back to school, it's going to be a crash program, mass promotion, and people have not studied well. So I think really, I don't think these strikes are in public interest. And there must be a way in which we can solve these problems without plunging the education sector into 7 months of really devastating strike. So I would side with the court and probably ask ASUU to explore the prospect of calling off the strike and devising alternatives, or give the government some good faith. And on the part of government, they are the ones responsible for this crisis. Their failure to be proactive in managing this crisis, their failure to cut down costs of governance and plunge these funds to ASUU and the education sector cannot be explained. So ultimately, it's the government that has thrown us into this crisis, and ASUU probably an accessory, after the fact or before the fact.
Thank you for your insight, Dr. Sam Amadi. That's the press preview. Let's hear your views. Follow us on Twitter @RiseTV. You can join today's conversation with the hashtag RiseDaybreak.